Hello beautiful people, Carl here from Games, Brains and Headbanging Life, gbhblofficial for short. And it is of course that time of the week. It is of course the state of things. Speaking a bit softer in this video because as at the time of recording, it's like 11:45 at night, Friday night, the night before this video goes up. I'm so short on time. I'm so limited to what I can do this week that getting a video up for the state of things didn't actually seem possible at a certain stage. And I kind of told myself, look, don't worry about it. You haven't really got that much to say, that much to talk about. Maybe you just don't do it this week. And I was going to do that. But then I thought, whoa, the whole rule with this thing was that it would be anything and everything. And it didn't have to be half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour. It didn't have to be about specific subjects. It didn't have to be this, that, whatever, and so on. I told myself this. And already I'm struggling to sort of stick to that rule where I almost feel like a duty to give you a long video where I'm going through all the things that I've done this week and all the thoughts that are flitting from my head and all the opinions I've got on certain things. And that's what it's got to be. Well, it's not. And I've got to remind myself of that when time in life can be busy. And it's been a very busy week for me that I just can't give you or, do what I would like to do or potentially what you would like me to do or what you expect and just have to settle for something a little lesser. Right, excuse me. I'm not eating. I have a vocal zone sweet in my mouth. I was sucking on it to help my throat because I know I was going to be talking here, and it does help me when I have to do a lot of talking in videos, particularly when I'm on my own, and obviously I don't have anyone to play off and I'm just rambling away like I am now. Tea. Of course, it is 11:45, and these days I do not drink caffeine this late at night, obviously. So it's a nice cup of herbal tea, and it's a classic. I have the Mountain Honeybush, organic honeybush tea from Dragonfly Tea. It's a favourite. It's one of the best we've got. Now I've kind of settled on the ones I'm really, really enjoying, and I'm tend to just sticking with them. I keep getting like flights of fancy. I'll be walking down an aisle in a supermarket, and I'll pass all the herbal teas, and there'll be like a £8 pack of like 10 tea bags prompt with all these weird names and all of that, and I'll be like, you know what, I'm going to try it, and it turns out I don't like them at all. There's been a few that I've really not liked. It's a pucker one. It's a blue box. I can't remember what time it is. A blue box, but it's a nighttime blue box one, and I thought it would be okay. It's got jasmine in it, which is a mixed bag at the best of times, but in this one, it's freaking terrible. I hated that. Anyway, let's not stop banging on about tea. I don't want it every week to be. I'm just going to move the camera slightly. It feels like it's out of kilter. There we go. I don't want every week to be Carl's talking about tea. I want to be that guy now because I'm still cool. I'm still hip, as the kids would say, and all that stuff. Don't say hip, dude. That's the thing. That's the thing. I have no idea. I am an old person now in the sense that I have no idea what is relevant and what's important and how people are speaking. And how I think kids speak. I act like they're speaking like when I was a kid. Anyway, busy week. Last time we talked, I was on nights. I was in the thrall and thrust of nights, and they're now done. And I'm on to different shifts, of course, now, which brings its own set of problems. But I have tomorrow off, or time is recording, time you'll see this video, today off, and that's because it's a birthday that I managed to get the time off for. I should have been at work 3 to 11, but I'm off and going to go to a comedy club, which is not something I do often, if I'm honest, or ever really. I've probably been to like 1 or 2 comedy clubs in my life, because it's not really my jam. I'm going to say something weird now, but comedy, like live comedy, isn't really my jam for the most part. It's not. I like comedy, obviously. I like comedy. I like comedians. I like many comedians. I can enjoy a stand-up, I can enjoy a comedic film, I can enjoy all of that. But the sort of live environment of a comedy show, I've never quite enjoyed. I've been to some fairly large names, to some small names. I've done some really awkward shows. There was one, God, I think it was a charity one, way back, me and Lou did. And it was like these comedians, some of them were fairly famous names, but like, they were testing material out, and one guy was bombing. And he was bombing hard. He actually looked like he was getting angry on stage. I always remember that. I can't remember who the comedian was. But yeah, that was an awkward one. But, I've seen like Lee Evans. Have I seen Jimmy Carr? I think I've seen Jimmy Carr. I've seen Greg Davies. I've seen a few of the sort of big, big names on the UK circuit. And the last comedy show I did actually was Foil, Arms and Hog, the Irish trio. I do find them quite funny, and that was actually quite an enjoyable show as well. But for the most part, I just don't really like those environments. There's a lot of environments like that I don't like. A lot of it comes down to how I just think other people are. And this is, I guess it's judgmental in a way, because obviously not everybody's like this, but it feels like my experiences in certain environments have become so, poor for the most part. I just would prefer to avoid said environment. Live comedy, it's a mixed bag because obviously everyone's laughing and having fun, but you still get obnoxious behaviour in that environment. And I'm a big champion of be respectful of everyone around you, basically. You know, so if you're like kicking someone's seat or you're doing something like makes the other person around you uncomfortable, either before, in front of you or behind you or to your side, then, you know, check your behaviour, basically. I'm a big champion of that. But a comedy show's a little difficult, really, because obviously everyone's laughing, having fun. That kind of emboldens people to sort of perhaps behave in a different way, particularly when there's alcohol involved. Nowhere does shitty behaviour, you know, for me, prove to be at its highest in cinema. I think the cinema experience these days, at least from my perspective, or how I perceive it, or how I've experienced it, is just one of the worst. For people just thinking they can do what they want and the hell with anybody else. And I'm not just talking about standard cinema protocols, theatre protocols, where you shouldn't be on your phone and turn, you know, this and talking and all of that. All of that's bad in itself. I just mean just generally obnoxious behaviour from people acting like it's their living room and it doesn't matter what anybody else does. I hate that environment. I think cinemas are one of the worst things for me to do. If someone goes, "Oh, do you want to go to cinema?" No. Do you want to? We'll go watch. Cool. Let's watch it in the comfort of my home, please. More than happy to do that. Oh, but it's not out yet. Then I'll wait a couple of weeks. I'm not gonna have to wait long, am I? Oh, but you know, you're not paying what $15.99 to rent it at home, and you know, you won't get the big screen experience. No, I'm fine. I'll lose the big screen experience where the sound is sometimes crap, the screen is stretched. There are people talking all the way through it. Someone's kicking the back of my chair. Everyone keeps getting up and moving around. The rustle of sweets and popcorn. People are laughing at inappropriate times when it's not supposed to be that kind of film, or like the, you know, just because they're just having fun. All this sort of stuff. Yeah, I'll still sit at home and watch it. I'm fine with that. I am more than fine with that. So I tend to avoid cinema. I think I said to you before, there is. The only cinema experience in London that I'm kind of happy to do is the Prince Charles, but even that's within reason. But yeah, like the whole live comedy thing, just doesn't really appeal. It's never really appealed that much to me. I tend to only ever really have gone to them when other people have kind of asked me to. So that's exactly what's happening as of the time of recording. Go to a comedy club, but I like the idea of that environment more. I did one in the past, and the kind of smaller scale, you know, people just sitting around having a drink and a laugh in that scenario. That's fine by me. I'm very much a go to the pub, have some drinks, and have some fun and a chat kind of guy these days. I'm not trying to say I'm boring or anything like that. I guess maybe it depends how you perceive it. But like, you know, I am one of those. Can you turn the music down a bit? Because I'm here with my friends and we're sitting around and we're having a talk and a laugh, and cool to have background music, but we want to be able to talk to each other, not shout over each other. We're not in a club, basically, that kind of thing. But then I'm also more than happy to, like, let's get my ears blasted off by this heavy metal gig. Right, it's just different environments, and most of the time it's all good. The pubs I go to are really, really good, balanced and stuff like that. But yeah, so that should be fun. First fun thing I've done in a little while, actually, because of course the nights pretty much dominated everything outside of. Yeah, I basically worked for a week straight. I worked proper work. By that I mean, you know, my job. And then I'd come back here and I'd get some sleep, and then the rest of it was in front of the computer. I had some interviews to do. I had some solid interviews as well. Lots of content that needed to be written up and re-edited and pushed and touched up and all this stuff, and then put onto the site ready to go. I basically kind of put my head down and decided I was going to work really, really hard for a week straight, and it paid off. Got sick of it by the end, because even I did a break. And one evening, I think I was able to kind of just lie back and watch a film. I actually did watch two. Didn't I watch The Heretic and another one? I can't remember what the other one was, but The Heretic was not The Heretic. Heretic, the one with Hugh Grant, was a good film. The other one wasn't so much, so it was a bit of a mixed bag. But hey, one good film is better than two bad films, which is more obvious and horror than you would think. But yeah, basically that was my entire week, and then I got to my days off, and you know, getting back into normal sleeping patterns, a struggle all the time. But it was a little bit harder this week. I found it really did struggle to get back into it. I was just basically tired all day Tuesday and tired all day Wednesday. Still managed to do a fair bit, so I was quite pleased about that in regards to website stuff. But like actually going out and doing stuff wasn't happening. So now I'm late, and I should be on a block of like 7 of them. So from like Thursday just gone up till next Wednesday. Yeah, that's how it works sometimes. But obviously, I'm not in today as the time you're seeing this video. But that's an annual leave day I've actually used for that. So it's not like a favour or anything like that. And then I'm back in on late for the rest of the week. That's pretty much going to dominate things completely 3 to 11. I ain't going out doing anything like that. But thankfully, it all kind of calms down to when I actually get some booked leave, some long-term planned leave, like my assigned leave, which, if you don't know, on London Underground, like, the leave that we get is assigned to us over a period of time, certain period, and it will be dates. You don't really get to you don't get to pick and choose when you can go off outside of some loose days that we have. So one of those weeks are coming up, and around that I've got, there's a lot of good stuff coming up as well. So I'm pretty excited for all of that. Gigs, a couple of other things, just a nice solid week that kind of leads into what will hopefully be sort of better weather, sunnier climates, and a slow build up to festival season, which, I've said before, I cannot wait for. I'm so excited for that period of time. This country keeps threatening me with a good time. Like, the sun will come out, but it's still really cold. Last night it dropped till 2 degrees where I live, and that sucked. It felt like winter again. Tonight it's not particularly warm either, but it's a little bit warmer. It's just kind of like, can we please just get to that point where I can comfortably walk around in a t-shirt, and I'll settle for jeans, t-shirt and jeans. I don't need to wear shorts just yet, but just want to really get to that lovely little comfortable period. But around that as well this week, I ended up starting to think about how I want to do things going forward, like in regards to website stuff and all that. There are things, I've slipped into certain patterns, and some of those patterns aren't helping me. So I needed to sort of change up that environment. And one of the sort of major things was basically switching out music I listen to at certain times and what I use to focus and so on. But alongside that, I thought, okay, you're kind of stuck watching background shows. We've talked about background shows before on the state of things. And I thought, what I want to do is I want to watch something fresh. I want to start something new. I'm enjoying doing a lot more solo videos these days. I don't make it sound bad to anybody, obviously, I do videos with. I massively appreciate working with them and them doing their stuff and so on. But obviously on my own likes and dislikes and my own time, I haven't got to worry about what other people are doing, whether or not I can get hold of them, whether they can match up to my schedule and so on. I can just go, hey, I fancy doing this video and stuff like that. And obviously the YouTube channel is a very more open field than perhaps, say, the website is. It still sticks in the whole games, brains and headbanging side of things, but there is certainly a certain level of freedom on there. And I started thinking, God, wouldn't it be cool to kind of just like start watching, I don't know where I got the idea, but some anime, and then maybe talking about that in videos and so on. So I gave it a long, hard thought about it, and then I looked at Crunchyroll on Amazon Prime, which is a channel on there with lots of anime on it, and I was looking for a lot of that, and it's quite overwhelming, of course. And eventually, basically, what ended up happening was I ended up trying to choose one, basically. The idea was I'm going to choose one, I'm going to watch that one, and then I'm going to see if, I'm going to try and find it, and see if it will stick, if it holds my interest, and if I think, yeah, I want to watch a bit more of this and so on. It didn't go quite as planned. That was the idea, and what I ended up deciding. So right, first I tried to watch Cowboy Bebop. Cowboy Bebop. Excuse me. Which is a pretty famous one. It's quite an old one, but that's what I was trying to do. Was going to go back to one of the classics. But on Amazon, it doesn't have subtitles. It's in Japanese, and I can't obviously speak Japanese, so without subtitles. And yeah, I tried turning it on. It doesn't come on. Closed caption does, but it doesn't help. It's well delayed and it doesn't work properly. So that's unfortunate. I did start watching the Shenmue one, but that feels more in line with what I do regularly. But that's it. This is the one I have really, right? This is the one I've actually started, and I'm up to 6 episodes. So I'm kind of into it. Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaba. Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yabi. That's what I'm basically watching. And the animation is fabulous. It's English dubbed, so it's a lot easier for me to pay attention to. Not that I have a problem watching a show, say, in Japanese and reading subtitles, but this is kind of something I want to watch while doing other things. So I really wanted it to be something that was in English, so I could basically not have to pay as much attention to it. But even still, I'm watching the hell out of this show. Really enjoyable, really love the animation. I kind of think I chose this one because I was Googling a lot of them. And I think I chose this one based on the fact it seemed to be a bit gory and a bit more violent. It's about a kid or a young man whose entire family is killed by demons, and his sister gets turned into one, but she's a bit different, and they still seem to share that connection. So he trains to become a demon slayer. There's a lot of seasons of it, and a lot of it's a fairly successful manga. I looked into this on online, and it's I was surprised by how successful it was. I don't know this world at all, so it really is a bit of a struggle for me to fully understand what I'm doing. So I'm going to try and finish the first season. And hopefully, if I really enjoy it, then I'm going to consider talking about it, maybe just as an overview, and certainly not from any place of expertise. I know this is a world, the anime world is a crazy one, to want of a better word. It's filled with a lot of passionate people who are very passionate about their shows. That's not me. That's not me. Grew up and I've enjoyed a lot of things, but anime was never one of them. I've never really tried to get into it. I've never really cared enough, particularly when there's so many animes that perhaps I would see clips of and all that. I just thought looked terrible. It was certainly not what I particularly wanted to watch. I've obviously seen some of the more famous ones. Vampire Hunter D was something I grew up watching, and I thoroughly enjoy stuff like that. But that's different, man. To me, that's there was a Western feel. There's a lot of horror to it. It still fits in my wheelhouse. So that's kind of what Demon Slayer does as well. It feels like it fits within my wheelhouse, so it's not too much of a stretch, and that's what I decided I wanted to do. But I kind of wanted to involve Lou in this as well, and I was saying to her look, do you want, we don't have a show. Should we start one? So we have started what I think is, I believe, one of the more famous ones, Attack on Titan. I've only watched the first episode, and it was a very good first episode, mind you. But yeah, that's another one I've started to watch. And I'm going to keep you updated about my anime exploration and how, if it actually sticks, kind of thing. But at the moment, they're the main two. Well, three if you count Shenmue. But Shenmue is for they made what into a TV series. The others aren't. They're just for my pleasure, so to speak. Demon Slayer and Attack on Titan. Those are the two I'm trying. And hopefully from that, I can offshoot into others. But I would love advice here, suggestions. Think of a person who really, really isn't comfortable in this world and needs to be grabbed almost straight away by something special. Tell me what it is. Tell me what show I should check out. I'm not going to say I'm going to watch it now, but I would certainly like more suggestions because it is overwhelming. And obviously, you look at something like Amazon, looking at Crunchyroll, and you'll get a brief description, and it's not often enough to really tell you enough. And I'm not sitting there watching trailer after trailer after trailer. There's so many shows. I just want common ones, basically, that people say, yeah, you know what, this is a really, really good show. You should definitely check that out. But it did kind of make me laugh. I had a little laugh about it the other night. I was like, yeah, you're 40 years old, 41 years old, and now you're like, let me try and get the anime. It's because I get bored in my head. It's like, I'm lucky. I have a lot of hobbies. I have a lot of hobbies that are singular hobbies that I don't need to rely on others for. I enjoy a large array of things. I enjoy playing video games. I enjoy all the stuff around that. I enjoy watching films. Not just horror either. I can enjoy a good old rom-com or an action adventure or whatever, a sci-fi epic, all of these things. I can enjoy all of that too. Hell, I can enjoy a comedy after all, going back to that. And of course, I like music, and I like all variants of music to some degree. Obviously, some more than others, but I'm lucky. All of that I'm passionate about them. Alongside that, I enjoy reading as well. I enjoy reading comic books. I don't buy them, I don't collect them, I don't stuff like that. But I'd have enjoyed that, graphic novels and stuff like that. I enjoy all elements of reading. I'm able to distract myself in many, many ways, but I always want more, and I think that's what I'm exploring with this anime. Speaking of things I'm passionate about, it might not be a secret. If you know me and you paid attention to the website, you probably know what my biggest passion lies, and it's probably the thing more than anything else that I don't really get to talk about anymore because obviously it's difficult. The author's long time passed away, and outside of who do I talk to this stuff about? But I am a huge Discworld fan, Terry Pratchett's Discworld fan. All of this here is my Discworld stuff, and there is a wealth of stuff over here. I'm not just talking about books either. I've got several versions of every book with many different covers, including some very unique ones and some very cool looking ones as well. They're all here as well. There's lots of other collectible stuff related to Terry Pratchett and Discworld. I love that. It was a game-changing series when I found it at an old time in my life. Let me tell you the story, basically. That's how I'm going to end this one. I'm going to tell you this Discworld story. So I was a kid at school, secondary school, and I was trading albums, music albums, for video games. There was a number of games I traded some albums for. And this person who was giving me the games basically was trying to offload what they thought was a pile of crap. So they'd give me like games like, I remember Broken Sword 2, The Smoke and Mirror, which is one of my all-time favourite games, was one of them. And in that was a game called Discworld 2 Missing Presumed, or might know if you're from America, Mortality Bites, but in this country it was Missing Presumed. That game. I didn't know what the hell these things were, but I fell in love with them both equally, with Broken Sword and Discworld. Two very different games, but all from the point-and-click world. Discworld was wacky, it was weird, it blew my mind. I absolutely fell in love with the world, but I did not know at the time that it was based on a series of books or anything like that. I was a kid. I didn't go looking out for it until I got older. And by coincidence, I ended up coming across a book. I think someone I knew had it, and I ended up picking it up and reading it. I was with the mother of my mother of my kid at the time, and we weren't in a good place at all. We weren't in a good place in life. I think I just started working for the Underground at this stage. I think I had, and I was doing a long trip in, and just, we weren't in a good place. We weren't happy together. That relationship was on the writing was on the wall, so to speak. But we had a very young child together, and of course that was a thing in itself. But all of this is really cool to talk about because it all turned out so fucking well. And I always point out, like, I have no problem talking about this and that failed relationship, and the having to separate from my kid, from living with them until obviously not living with them and so on. But all of that's so good, like, because how it turned out made it all so worth it. And I always try and remember that if you're having a bad time, it will get better, and it may hopefully end up being the best thing that happened for you, and that was very much the case. But I ended up reading a book called Small Gods. It was this book. One of the standalone ones, there's no sort of connection. Well, tell a lie, there is to a degree later on in another book, but compared to, say, books that were based around Rincewind the Wizard, based around Unseen University and the Wizards in general, based around The Watch, based around death and all of that, this one very much wasn't. But I was fascinated by the comedic style of it all, but also this really deep story about belief. And it was very powerful. A lot of its things in it, I felt like it was speaking to me about messages and all that. Now, that's not really Terry Pratchett's way. I was definitely reading too much into it, but I took a lot from it. And from that, I was buoyed to then go searching. Because obviously, you open up that book, and in it, you'll find like the inlay. This is a hardback version of what I've got with a very sort of like one of these style covers, hardback one anyway. But in there, you'll open it up and you'll have the inlay part where it would list. Now, these sort of books don't have them, but like the original sort of paperback book would have an inlay listing all the other books that were out of that point in that in the series. And I see all these books and all these names and all these titles, and I'm thinking, oh my god, I have got to. And then I'm looking and going, and then I'm discovering that, oh, Rincewind, the character from the game I loved when I was younger, he's an actual character from the book. Okay, let me hunt that one down. Then I decided to start at the beginning, of course, so I went to The Colour of Magic and The Light Fantastic. And of course, I tell everybody now, whoever starts Discworld, get through those books. They are fabulous. And I've got a lot of love for both of them in my heart. Two Flower is a wonderful character, very warm. Warm is my heart when I think about it. And of course, I love Rincewind. But they are difficult reads, and Pratchett's style would change. But basically, from that point on, I got hooked. And oh my god, like it's just developed into a love that still now warms me up. It's been a while since I've read him. I just don't have the time to sit down and start from the beginning and work my way through them. But I've probably done the series more times than I should, really. I was obviously very upset. I never actually met Terry Pratchett. I would have loved to have met him, but that wasn't the case, and yeah, it never really came an option. But I'm so glad that I'm so glad that I discovered him, and I discovered what he wrote, and I was able to enjoy it while he was alive and writing at the same time. That was really appreciative. I'm glad I got to see the end, so to speak, and I'm glad nobody's ever been sort of stupid enough to try and pick it up. There have been dumb things done with Discworld. I am not a fan of the films, and by that I mean the BBC ones. What did they do? They did. Oh God, what did they do? What did they do? They did Hogfather. I didn't like that. They did The Colour of Magic, didn't they? Yeah, they did. David Jason, yeah, who I just thought was I like David Jason, of course, great actor, but he's not my Rincewind. You know, in your head, you can picture them. I always pictured, weirdly, it was when I saw Mackenzie Crook, if you know that actor, you might know him from Pirates of the Caribbean, the first one with the eye, or you might know him from The Office, but I always thought, my God, that's a Rincewind, isn't it? You know, like from a younger age. But then I really like Sean Astin as Two Flower in The Colour of Magic, so that kind of works, but I just did not like The Colour of Magic. But all of that was forgivable up until Going Postal. Now, I remember watching Going Postal. Now, Going Postal is one of the later books, and it was one of my favourite. It still is one of my favourite. I find that book so inspiring. It was what Small Gods was to me, but at an older age, and I love Going Postal. And I very rarely turn something off. But basically, there was a point in Going Postal where they changed something so significantly, involving the two main characters having affection for each other at a stage way too soon, that felt so wrong and rushed and out of place that I switched it off. That was me done. Stop doing that. The animated films, I've got them up here as well somewhere. The two animated ones that has like Christopher Lee doing the voice of death. Where are they? I really want to show you now. Yeah, just bear with me. I'm going to stand up, so just bear with me because we're at the top. I'm going to grab this as well. So yeah, I told you I have some weird stuff here, but right, so there's two animated films, and we have Soul Music, and these are DVDs. Soul Music, this came out in when did it come out in? 2001 on DVD. So basically it's an animated version of Soul Music, quite long as well. Special features, interview with Terry Pratchett, Discworld pilot, storyboards, Terry Pratchett biography, character biographies, filmographies, and Discworld bibliography. I can never say that word. But yeah, the animated version of Soul Music, and the animated version of Weird Sisters. Now, neither are my favourite books. I probably like Soul Music more, but neither are my favourite books at all. But I have them. I have other weird stuff. Terry Pratchett's from the Discworld, music by David Green Slade. Yes, this is a Discworld music CD with tracks like Octarine, The Colour of Magic, The Luggage, The Shades of Ankh-Morpork, The Unto University and the Librarian, A Wizard Staff Has the Knob on the End for all you fans. Oh yes, fabulous. Hollywood Dreams is track number 14. I have listened to it. It's been a while, but I've definitely listened to it. I have to give this one another spin. Let's see. You know what? I might actually end this video, seeing if I can find a version of this online, and just add it to the end of the video to give you, particularly if I can find a Wizard Staff Has a Knob in the End, because all Discworld fans should know exactly what that is like. I'm going nearly 30 minutes. What did I say? I said I wouldn't talk that long, but I've just started talking about Discworld, and it's something I feel so passionate about. One entire part of my... I have several. I have a lot of tattoos on my body, and a lot of them are Discworld related. You may not know that. There's one on my neck. I can't show it correctly. I can't even remember what side of my neck it's actually on, but it is, the Summoning Dark, which if you know your Discworld, later Discworld, you'll know that. I have, obviously, this entire arm, all the way up here, is all Discworld. It's a Discworld montage, basically. You've got everything from the Death of Rats to Rincewind, Granny Weatherwax, the Tower of Art, the Luggage. There's a lot of Discworld all tattooed into that. I have two scythes crossed over my belly button, which is down there, and I probably have the biggest one, which I'm not going to take my top off. Should I show you it? No, I won't. No, it's gonna. I don't want to have to flash you basically and pull this t-shirt out. But basically, I have a huge death on my breast, including a quotation, and it's kind of like it was done when it's the quotation is better to light a candle than curse of darkness, which is a quotation quote that I first read in Discworld. Carrot says it, of course, and it was a very cool quote, and it's tattooed on my body underneath this large death, which actually comes from it actually comes from the art of Discworld. I'm going to see if I can find a specific picture while I was talking. But basically, after Terry died, that was kind of what I had done. It was a really large one, all colourful in the purples and stuff. I wanted it to look exactly like... Well, there are two versions of this book I've got. One of them has been damaged, and the other, this is the one that isn't damaged. Good. So I think some of the pictures I've ripped up in it, which is the hardback one, but this is the actual one that I think is okay. So like, for example, see that Tower of Art? That's what's on my arm. Yes indeed. A lot of them came from this specific book. Taking them and going, okay, I want to incorporate this specific symbol, I want to incorporate that. Here he is. That is on my chest. And it's a very good tattoo, can assure you of that. But yeah, that's on my chest. That's, you know, just some of my Discworld love. But yeah, I could talk to you about Discworld all day and night. You know, Night Watch has my favourite Discworld villain. Casa is absolutely evil. I can see a house from here. It's one of the greatest lines ever written in those. And you have to know and understand the context of what I'm talking about to really feel that, but it makes me smile. But I got on the Discworld because what I was talking about was I feel blessed that I have all these passions. There's all these things that I'm into, all these things that I really care about and want to talk to you about and talk to others about and share and hopefully experience your loves. And perhaps if we cross over, hey, isn't that so much fun? And that's where my interest in anime is suddenly coming from. See, I brought it back. And on that note, yeah, like I said before, any recommendations, please do drop them in the comments. I will read them, I will pay attention, and hopefully I will get to them. And yeah, let me see if I can find that song. But you know what to do. You got any thoughts on what I've talked about here? Let me know in the comments.
Wizard staff has a knob on the end. The wizard staff has a knob on the end. A wizard staff has a knob on the end. A knob on the end. A knob on the end. A wizard when young has a staff that is small. It's puny and weak, ineffective withal. It grows with his power until it stands tall. As his fame and his glory expand. As his fame and his glory expand. A wizard staff has a knob on the end.
Thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed what you've seen, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. It does help us out. You can find us at gbhbl.com and across all social media platforms. And if you really want to give us a bit of extra support, please consider buying us a cup of coffee over on our coffee page. Thank you.